Hey! What?
The lift wasn't working and he was in pain, so I tried to lift him on my own. Yes, it's bad. I'll need help.
Can I help you with that?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Workplace injuries hurt the most at home.
Hello everybody, my name is Jason Piercey and this is Out of the Fog. Okay, so no joke, 2020 was a tough year, right? Like 2020 was a tough year. However, we did have some people who managed to pull through with a lot of hard work, a lot of grit. Grit is one of my favorite words, and a lot of tenacity and effort, and it's been okay for them. So I thought we could do like a little Jason's favorite places thing. I mean, I call it that. Everybody at the studio just still calls it Out of the Fog. But I call it Jason's favorite places. So that is what we're going to do tonight. We will be right back after this.
You're watching Rogers TV, St. John's.
Looking for great seats to all the action? Rogers Super Sports Pack delivers. With NBA League Pass, get up to 40 out-of-market games every week, all season long. More dunks, more slams, more to love, live in HD. NBA League Pass, part of the Rogers Super Sports Pack. All this for only $35.95 a month. Order through your remote on Channel 431 or call 1-888-ROGERS-1 today.
Watching Rogers TV, St. John's.
Welcome back to Jason's favorite places. So yesterday, I went to Bannerman Brewing Company and spoke to Phil. Phil is one of the owners, operators, general manager down there about what life has been like over, the past year or so, and why I'm there working away on my real estate business nearly every single morning. Enjoy. So there's a few things that I want to talk about. I'd like to start with if you could give people a little bit of the history about the building and how the evolution of that turned into the brand that is Bannerman Brewing Company.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this building was unoccupied for quite a while. Like, it shut down in '93. It was a fire hall, the old East Fire Station. We've been looking around for a spot to do something like this, either a brewery or a beer bar, something beer-focused for years. So in 2016, we found this building and went through kind of a year process that was, putting in submissions and getting approvals and all that stuff.
How was the city to deal with on that? So like from the real estate side of things, for me, I've been through similar processes, and sometimes it goes well and sometimes it's a mess. So like Mayor Danny Breen, if you're watching this, come on, make it easier for us to do good stuff.
It certainly could have been easier. There were some amazingly helpful people over there at the city, so there was a lot of help that we were granted. But there were certainly a lot of hoops to jump through and a lot of kind of minimum time periods that are there for a reason. But the process was very elongated, and with the province as well, to be honest. Certain approvals and things that there's certain little things, like from a code perspective, that kind of aren't super common that we were doing here, with the mix of like light industrial and like a big general
and you got like a really, really old building, so you've got that side of it. You're manufacturing a food service product,
100%.
So there's that side of it.
There's tons of little structural kind of limitations, like our stairwell technically isn't wide enough for code, but it had to be grandfathered in because we would have to move big columns and beams and stuff. So, but all that said, we got through it. So that was kind of a year of pitching for it, basically 2 years of kind of demo construction, getting it built out, going through a lot of different hurdles from a lot of different places. And then, finally got open in 2019, in May 2019.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your logo. The amount of people who tell me that it's a sailboat, and I just sort of, because it does look a little bit like a sail.
50-50, that's what we get.
Exactly, yeah. I can see it. As you can see, as you're looking back here, this is a very communal place.
Yeah.
So when these dividers, before the dividers between seats had to be up, it was a very European kind of style. You sit in the empty seats and you drink your coffee, you eat your food, and maybe you communicate with the people that are around you, and maybe you don't. But community and culture, that's sort of the thing that happens here, in my personal opinion.
And that was a goal from the outset. We were a little bit worried that it probably wouldn't work. So we had, typically 8 tables here instead of 6, and they were jammed close together, and you could have 3 groups of 2 at one table. And in a small town, it's weird. You sit down at one side, it's like, oh, you used to date that person 2 seats away, and it's like, things get awkward, right? So, but all that said, there's only been literally 2 occasions that I've seen people come in, notice that it's communal seating, and turn around. So it's really not that bad. But I've also heard stories of people meeting. They're meeting for the first time. They're kind of you've had one group paying for another group's bill, other people keeping in touch, if there were tourists coming in and leaving again. So it's a pretty neat little thing, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, so let's talk about some of the evolutions that happen, because you're less than a year in business, or a year-ish in business, and then the world shuts down, and you're like, crap, what do we do now? But you guys were one of the first people, in my mind, or in my experience of places that I would visit regularly, that were able to pivot and start doing something that meant you were able to keep moving forward. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Yeah, totally. luckily we've got beer that we're making here. So to keep that going, we did a bit of a takeout model, so people were ordering online, and we'd meet them at the door and send it out across a picnic table to keep distance and all that stuff. So luckily we had that. And takeaway coffee, stuff like that. We did a bit of food at the beginning, but food's a racket. It just is. So we kept it just beer and coffee and kind of baked goods, we kind of limped through those few months, which is fine. And luckily we're back open at 50%.
But if you're limping through, you're making it through.
Yeah, we're making it through.
Right?
We don't have a proper packaging line. We do have one on the way that should be here in a few weeks, but we're filling cans one at a time by hand, stickering them by hand, stamping them by hand. So there's some challenges there. It just takes a lot of labor to get beer out the door. But hopefully soon that will change. And we've been about so basically when the pandemic hit, we'd just gone through a big summer, and we're like, okay, things are going pretty good. So we ordered some new tanks. They landed as we were shutting down. We basically haven't really actualized that potential. And then
good use of money.
Yeah, just
buy this brand new expensive stuff and then let it sit here for months.
Invest in that, put it away, and then we get into further months, and this lockdown or the kind of reduced capacity wasn't going anywhere. So we invested in the canning line. So again, that should help kind of get beer out into stores and all that.
What's your expectation for moving forward? Because there's an election coming up in a little bit, and I'd like to talk about your thoughts on kind of how our province can help people. Because I'm a fan of saying that oil and gas is not going to be our future. It just can't. It runs out. Entrepreneurship, immigration, things like these make sense to me for moving forward. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But you mentioned 50%. Is that your capacity change now?
Yeah, that's what we're at now. It's 50% of our original capacity. Yeah.
So from the entrepreneurial side and the business standpoint, when you put together a business plan and you're going to investors, or you're going to wherever to get the funding to start, because work had to be done here.
Right.
Do you think you'd have pulled it off if your plan had 50% of the projected revenue that it?
We would have, the space would have been kind of, designed a bit differently for sure. This space was designed, the brewery back there should be bigger, and it isn't. But we wanted to maximize the people that we can get in this room together, and because that's how it works. It's those evenings where everyone's in here drinking beer, eating food, that's how it works. So again, we're kind of pivoting because more people are staying home now.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to keep up with that until things shift back into.
And create situations where they can be at home, having a good microbrewery craft beer that's made here. You just got to get a better way than to be hand pouring it, capping it, and hand stickering it, and be able to
and further to that too. I mean, most of our upstairs square footage is an event space that was basically booked through. It was booked solid all summer, then everything canceled or pushed out.
Yeah.
So it's all that setup and kind of the back and forths, getting it all lined up, and then to lose it all, that sucks too, right? So yeah, things are slowly trickling back in. There's not much you can do about an event space until the pandemic.
Until you're allowed to have events.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because we do have a provincial election coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's super important that we talk about specific personal political agendas. That's not really relevant to me for the conversation. But I would like to know, as somebody who operates a business that is obviously affected by the health, like literal like physical and respiratory health of our province, what things come to your mind that you would like to see candidates come out as a part of their platform to help out local business?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a tough one, like, especially like, I mean, considering just the pandemic side of things, like I don't think we can really push to like, let's be back to 100% capacity or whatever. That's a bit unrealistic, even though Newfoundland is luckily doing pretty good right now. That said, I would love to see a little bit more collaboration with business owners. Like, for example, you know, if I'm trying to start something else, it would be, or anybody that's a first-time entrepreneur, it'd be great to have like a kind of a government body or something, some sort of go-between, where they literally take you by the hand and say, okay, you want to do this, you need to talk to this person, you should talk to this person about getting all your, like, the legalities or the, you know, code things or what have you. Just there should be, it should be more collaborative. It shouldn't be like, you know,
it's almost like it's a fight, exactly, right? And putting the two of them together and guiding your way through. Like, I mean, it's like in my real estate business, if I had to try and force you into or talk you out of what you were trying to accomplish, I mean, none of us would ever get anything done. Right. You'd have nowhere to live. My little girl would starve to death. Like, I think what you're saying makes sense, because if that kind of business development is going to be a part of what saves our province, then maybe some politician, and if you're listening, should be like, hey, I heard what you said, Phil. Let's put together a collaborative effort and a system that helps people move forward.
Totally.
Because this brings revenue to the province and to the city.
Like, government websites are the most notoriously hard to navigate things. It's like, why is it still like that? It's, you know, it's 2021. Let's just make a nice streamlined thing, or again, maybe it's just personnel. You need a couple people that can help take new business owners by the hand and get them through. Because I think you're right. I think there's tons of availability downtown for new things to happen.
There's vacancy everywhere now.
So it's like, yeah, let's see that. I mean, you know, when we opened up here, we had kind of grossly underestimated kind of what was going to happen. I think that was a bit of a pessimistic mindset, which I think was good to get us open.
Conservative though, right?
Totally.
Because you want to plan, you want to plan for the worst case scenario and work towards the best case scenario.
Total. So I mean,
which is why you're probably still open and other people aren't.
And maybe, I mean, we've got, you know, 50 plus people that are at work here in different departments all over. So it's like, yeah, I see a ton of like prospects to small businesses opening up, and then you employ 5 people, then 10, and then 20, and then 40. And
is there anything else that Bannerman is planning moving forward?
Yeah, there's always a few things in the works. So and we won't talk about them too much yet. But
I've been here before, Phil.
Yeah,
you just want little teasers, and I'm not allowed to give anybody the information. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite places, Bannerman Brewing Company. I'm getting all fogged up. This is a good time to say goodbye. Phil, thank you for taking the time.
Man, thank you so much.
Probably see you again tomorrow morning.
See you tomorrow.
We'll be right back.
All right, girls.
Mom, you said it's played again.
Workplace injuries hurt the most at home.
I joined because I wanted to help others.
To be a part of something bigger.
To show my kids what's important.
I joined to make my community stronger.
To make a difference in someone's life.
To acknowledge that our freedoms come at a cost.
I joined to honor my mom.
My grandpa.
My neighbor.
Everyone who served.
Who are serving still.
I joined.
I joined.
I joined the Legion.
Welcome back, friends. Okay, so where else do I like to spend a whole lot of time? And it's not because I'm drinking. I go there for lunch a lot. Their soup is amazing. The Newfoundland Embassy, down where like Lars Convenience was. And they still got the custard cones. There's so much culture here. So I sat down with Brendan and then Niall Hickey, brothers who own the place. And you get to indulge and enjoy in that conversation right now. We're here to talk about one of my favorite places to go and how you guys ended up here, the way that it's working for you, and a whole bunch of stuff. First of all, thanks for hanging out. Because I wouldn't have seen you otherwise. So let's start with how you and your brother came to be the proprietors here.
Sure. So I've been in the bar business for about 10 or 12 years. I've worked every job in a bar that you could probably think of. And Niall worked alongside of me when I was managing another bar on Water Street. I got out of the business entirely. I was a child and youth care worker for a while, and Niall ended up coming to the embassy and managing the bar for the previous owners. And in December 2019, an opportunity came up that we could get our hands on it ourselves, and it was an opportunity we've been waiting for since the get-go, so we jumped.
Yeah, so I can imagine like when you're younger and you're out and you're at a bar and you're drinking with your buddies and like somebody makes last call and you're like, man, if we ever own a bar, it'll never be like that. Own a bar will be amazing. It'll be so, I bet it's so much fun and it's not stressful at all, is it, Brendan?
Everybody wants to own a bar. But it's,
until they do.
Until you do own a bar, yeah. It's a lot of work, top to bottom, you know.
Yeah.
Niall and I work every part of this, you know. We work in the kitchen, we work the bar, we're cleaning the toilets, you know, top to bottom, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is not just a pub. Like, you can come here, obviously, I mean, the taps are here, and I understand you guys are actually one of the top-selling Moosehead places in
Atlantic Canada.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is cool. So, but it's not just a place to go get beer and wine and spirits. There's food, there's music, there's a little piece of nostalgia in an ice cream cone. Can you talk a little bit of some of that stuff?
Absolutely. You know, we're not just a pub and eatery. You know, we do live music on the weekends. We get a lot of different acts in here as well. And, you know, we like to work with the community as well. You know, it's important to be an active member in the community, to get people in. So, you know, we have good homemade food. We've got great service. You know, we pride ourselves on being one of the friendliest pubs in the North Atlantic, and we continue to do that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of truth that I can speak to, not just as myself. Like, I'll come here after hockey on Thursdays for a pint maybe, or and there's somebody playing, or I'll come here for lunch if I'm downtown working, and I'll have a homemade soup and a salad, and I can smell she's cooking mulligatawny in there now, and it's absolutely incredible because I've had it before. And the idea of it being like your friendly neighborhood kind of corner pub, local watering hole, is very, very true, because the amount of times somebody comes in that I've never seen before, and I'm here fairly often, that whoever's behind the bar, whether it's you or Niall or Nick or Tracy, or you know what I mean, somebody knows that person's name. It's like, it's good to see you. It's very much like Cheers.
Yeah, it's we pride ourselves on the atmosphere here. We want you to come in, we want you to feel cozy, we want you to enjoy the space, and we want you to feel welcome as soon as you come in here.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, it's 100% our job to make you feel welcome, and, you know, no one comes in here and sits at that bar and doesn't learn of at least 5 other people's names when they do, right? So that's really awesome.
So let's talk a little bit about how the pandemic hit you guys, because if you had an opportunity for ownership towards the end of 2019, that was sort of when in Asia, COVID-19 was becoming an issue, and it was the momentum for that was building. And then by the time, what I imagine as your first spring, your first March, and your first St. Patrick's Day weekend in the bar business, you were probably banking on a certain amount of cash flow. So can we talk about like how startling it was that like your lifelong dream suddenly is like, what do I do now?
Well, I mean, in December, like you said, it was just starting to gain traction in Asia. I mean, never did I think it was going to affect us the way it did, you know. So coming in, you know, your first year of business, you have pretty tight margins that you need to make. You have a solid business plan that you need to follow. And within a month, we were shut down. I mean, Snowmageddon came first, right?
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So we kind of sat and we said, well, it can't get any worse, you know, and
famous last words.
Famous last words. So we shut down March 16th, the day before St. Patrick's Day. We weren't forced to shut down, we decided to shut down, just with everything we knew that was coming. So, I mean, yeah, it was a bad year to buy a bar. Yeah. For sure.
You heard it here. 2019, December 2019, bad time to buy a bar.
Absolutely, yeah. But the doors are open.
Exactly.
You know.
So let's talk about how you kept the doors open.
Sure.
How did you pivot? How did you move? What are some of the changes you made?
Pivot is the key word for 2020, especially anybody, us here in the downtown core, you know, bars and restaurants, you really did have to pivot. So what we did is we just tried to simplify our operations as much as possible. My brother and I, you know, we work long hours, little pay, but we also have an amazing team that works with us here. We've run a skeleton crew since 2019.
Yeah.
So we've had 6 people that run this place pretty much full time. So it's super important to have people around you to support you and work with you. In terms of simplification, we had to drop some things off of our menu. We had to get rid of our brunch, you know, which were hard decisions to make. But, you know, what we came up with was a simple, straightforward, good tasting food menu. We do that with some of our cocktails as well. And again, we engage with the community and our customer feedback. And we're always trying to improve everybody else's experience and make everybody want to come here more often.
Yeah.
Right?
When you guys took this over, there was a lineup of VLTs here.
Yeah, right along here. Took up so much space.
And you were quick to haul them out.
We were. It was never a part of our business plan to have to rely on VLT sales. One of the first things we did when we took over is we did a very big survey and sent it out there, and we got a lot of feedback. So we took that and ran with it. And one of the first things was the VLTs wanted to go. We didn't like the atmosphere it created. We wanted to focus more on live music. And yeah, we just felt it wasn't necessary. And we got great feedback on that. And in hindsight, it was a great idea because with the pandemic and our capacity being lowered, they just took up too much room.
Scary decision though, because they are a mainstay for like some of the bars in town. Like I can't imagine them even being open if they lost that revenue.
For sure, absolutely, it is. I mean, it's a risk. I mean, every decision that we make, almost on a daily basis, is a risk. This is a risky business, but you know Niall and I are confident that we can keep this going, and we're going to make those kind of right decisions.
And you got 10 plus years of hardcore bar experience.
For sure, you learn a lot. You learn a lot, and you learn, you know, just as many things you learn to do, you learn a lot of things not to do as well, right?
So let's shift to conversation real quick, Brendan. Sure. Talk a little bit about, there's an upcoming provincial election.
Yeah.
We have been sort of blessed and graced by decisions that our local politicians have made that have kept us safe from a global health pandemic. There's got to be some things in your head that you're thinking about the last number of years as a business owner or whatever, and then moving forward what you would like to see any particular politician come forward with on their platform. So can I have some of your thoughts there?
Sure. I mean, you know, it's been a rough year. You know, we're grateful for, you know, the support that's been provided through the government. But I think, you know, what everybody's looking for right now is a solid economic recovery plan. We need to know how we can get back to a more normal. You know, so for small business owners, especially, one of the biggest hurdles we've had is cash flow.
Yeah.
Cash flow issues are a major issue. None of us have a war chest stuck away to deal with a worldwide pandemic.
Yeah.
So really what I would like to see is a politician step forward with a real solid plan, some real supports to get us back and hopefully get back to more of a normal, you know, as soon as we can.
Yeah, and I can't imagine there's anybody out there in business or in the province at all that disagrees with a good economic recovery plan. Brendan, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I think what would be cool if we went upstairs, check out some of the expensive stuff that you're doing, and continue our conversation up there.
There you go, good break.
Not bad. I didn't drop one though.
No.
So we're still a choice. Ladies and gentlemen, the other half, Niall Hickey, owner, operator, works too long, craftsman.
Yeah, somewhat actually.
Here at the Newfoundland Embassy. So this space is a relatively new addition for you guys?
It is, yeah. Before we had more seating, we had a really big booth up here and stuff. But we found with the closure of Mile 1, it wasn't being used anymore. So we said, what else can we do to revitalize the spot up here? And we thought, well, pool table would be fun.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the legacy and the history of this building and what used to be here.
Yeah, so Lyra's Convenience was a staple downtown St. John's from 53 to 2003, or 54, sorry. And the big thing was Lyra's custard cones. You can get them, anyone downtown always got a custard cone. And they always said you can judge your age by how much you paid for one. So like first it was 5 cents, then it was 10 cents, 15, 20, but it was always really cheap to get a custard cone and people loved it, so.
Yeah, and there's something special about it too. There are literally secret ingredients.
There is secret ingredients, yes, and you cannot know that. So when we took it over, we spoke to Winnie Crocker. She's still alive actually now, as Lyra's wife, and she was over the moon to give us the recipe and the logo to use. So.
That's cool.
But you'll never know.
Talking a bit to Brendan about like changes and how difficult it was over the pandemic and the level of stress, and like 2019 was not a good year to buy a bar. Yeah. Looking back on it now, would you do it different?
That's a good question, Jason. Would I do it different? No. Everything we've done so far seemed to have been working. It has been working. So, you know, it's a wild time to buy a business. We never expected this. We never thought it was going to be easy, but we did never expect a pandemic to close us down for 3 months straight.
Yeah.
So.
And then, but I mean, you know what? You're both young. You both got the energy. So what if you got to work 18-hour days and not get paid, right?
Yeah.
No, but that's about it. It's still really fun to own a bar.
Well, it's the first time I've actually been able to say enjoy my job.
Well, there you go. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. And I think that's a great way to end the conversation so I can get to learning him some stuff. If you used to employ Niall Hickey, he hated working for you.
That's pretty much about it, yeah.
So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you guys back at the studio. And no, it's your shot. It's your shot.
Let's go.
All right. You're going to mess up on TV. Oh, you know what? It's an understandable miss. All right, we'll see you guys soon.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed Jason's favorite places here on Out of the Fog. I mean, what else can I say? What I'm noticing as I'm going back and I'm looking at both of these conversations is that these are two of my favorite places to hang out, and they're both very heavy on culture and friendliness and just enjoying the place that you are. And they both did a whole lot of work to fight through what was otherwise a real tough year. And they have similar thoughts on the upcoming election. Of course, we're always curious what you think about upcoming elections, so feel free to send something off, and we'll see you guys next week.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
You're watching Rogers TV.